on Steve's surgery? He said he might in the next 24 hours.
I think the club will put out a release once they have that, all lined up. So I think it's still in the process of being finalized right now.
Bobo was saying, he understands it's important that he's back because of the amount of guys that are away this week. How relieved were you to find out that you're going to have him?
We were obviously pleasantly pleased and happy about the situation. So having him on the field is important for our team. You can see by the amount of goals he's gotten in the minutes played, and he's a guy who's a danger. You can even see today at practice the one run he made, against Patrick Ianni. It's like, as a defender, that's not the guy you want to play against.
Is there anything he's doing that's surprised you or been better than what you saw when you were studying him, or is he basically the player you thought you were getting?
No, he's a player I thought we were getting. He's a little bit unorthodox in his approach and his style, but that's also what makes him very dangerous. He's blessed with tremendous speed and he fights for the ball and he battles. Sometimes he picks and chooses those moments, but that also makes him unpredictable, makes him hard for the opponent because is he coming this time, is he not? Because when he does come, if you don't make the right decision, he can put you in big trouble.
What does he do for the other forwards?
Well, obviously, he's dangerous, so he draws attention to him. And, by drawing attention to him, that means you draw markers. And by drawing markers, that means you open up space for others.
Given the challenges that you guys have faced in terms of, the slow start, players not being available, and so do you feel pretty good about where you are, and how would you describe kind of these first 12 games?
Well, I think sometimes the feeling is that it was worse than it really is. I think it's better than people were aware of. I know a lot of people have come out with different statistics now. It's this start in club history, and over the last 7 games, I think we have the best record in the league. But it's a situation that we always felt we were a good team. We always had that confidence. We knew that if we could get the guys out on the field together, that if we could get some victories, that we would get some confidence and that things would come together. So now it's a matter of continuing to work on that and continuing to accumulate points, because we have games in hand. So we've got games in hand are worthless if you don't accumulate points with them.
You feel pretty well positioned now, coming back from the break?
Oh, you'd like to have more points. You always want to have more points. And and eventually, you want to get into the top of the of the group. You hope that Dallas sort of comes back to the group a little bit, because they still have a lot of road games to go. But at the end of the day, we can only concern ourselves with us and worry about our points and get as many points as we can and continue to climb up the ladder.
Does it affect you guys not getting to train at least once on the grass surface at the stadium before the game?
You'd prefer to get on it, but we also want the grass to be as good as possible. And I know, mending the seams together, getting them to mesh right, that's a little bit of work. And the other thing is the sod comes in at a certain grass length, and then they gotta mow it down, not all at once. They have to, it takes time to mow it down. So we got to give them the time to do their work. And we're trying to set something up where maybe the guys, if they want to, they can go to the stadium tomorrow on their own and look at it. And if not, we're going to go, a little earlier before the game, take the whole team out to have a look at it. So we're confident in our grounds crew that they'll do a good job.
You guys have a pretty outstanding record in these games where you expand the capacity. Can you feel a difference when 40,000 versus 50, 60,000? Is it noticeable?
Yeah, you feel it. You feel it on the field. Our stadium's always loud and it's always raucous and it's always very pro Sounders, and it gives you a great feeling. But when there's more people in there, it's just a little more electric. It's a little bit louder, and for us too, it's a chance for us to showcase ourselves to some people who don't always get to see us play live, and that's something that I know the guys are always up for, and something that makes us really happy.
What would you say to people that try to make judgments on Seattle soccer support by having 34,000 for the U.S. game and 50,000 for a Sounders game?
Well, I think you got to look at the whole picture. I think first off, we got to be very proud that as a club we draw fans. We draw fans consistently, and a lot of the other U.S. soccer games, that U.S. soccer has played have been in smaller venues of 20,000, and so forth. I've been involved when I was with U.S. soccer in some big games, but it was always against Mexico, and so you're playing Panama, which is obviously it's a World Cup qualifier, and they're a good team, but they're not the the premier team in the region. And you know, on the same token, I think our fans, I think we're at what are we, 34,000 or something like that. I think that's a pretty respectable crowd. And I think when you look at that total number of those fans, and you take out Mexico qualifiers per se, or games against Mexico, I think that stacks up pretty well.
Now that you guys are out of the Open Cup, does the Cascadia Cup take a little bit added significance?
All the cups are important, and you know, last year we felt a little bit hard done in the Cascadia Cup by having to play 4 away and only 2 at home. This is the year we get to play 4 at home and 2 away, so we got to make that part of the thing stand up, and we want to bring the Cascadia Cup back to our fans.
Particularly feel for a guy like Marcus Hanneman, who maybe thought there would be midweek games throughout the summer that he might be able to play in kind of this point in his career.
Yeah, you know, Marcus is fantastic. He's been fantastic for us, you know, on the field, and when he's had opportunities to play, and also in the locker room. And you know, we'll see how the season goes. And obviously, getting out of the Open Cup and not being in the Champions League this year impacts maybe some of the games that he would have gotten. But you know, he hasn't hung his head. There's nothing that you can see from him that has shown disappointment. And so what we want to do is get ourselves you know, basically requalified for Champions League, and would have a better run the Open Cup in 2014, and convince Marcus to hang around another year.
What have you seen from Andy Rose over the course of the year?
You know, Andy's had a little bit of an up and down year. You know, I think for him, you know, he struggled a little bit. That's why he lost some playing time to Servando Carrasco. But now he seems to have caught himself. I know we had a couple of conversations along the way, and I think his game's starting to move forward again. Maybe it's a little bit of that sophomore jinx, I don't know. But you know, sometimes players just lose their way a little bit. You know, you forget maybe what really got you to where you got going, and it's never anything. I mean, people always think, oh, it must be something big, or he's doing something really wrong, or he's mistrapping a ball or something. It's just a little, sometimes it's a little thing, it's a little psychological thing, it's a little 5% thing that all of a sudden makes a difference, and all of a sudden you find that, and then the game slows down for you again, and once the game slows down, then all of a sudden passes are easier, and you go to the right spots more often, and things start bouncing your way. So I think he's making his way back towards that.
Were you always pretty confident that he would kind of catch himself and get back to maybe where he was last year?
Yeah, because he's a hard worker, and guys who work hard, you know, eventually always find their way back.
What do you expect to see out of Vancouver?
You know, a team that's sort of, you know, I mean, last week they lined up ostensibly in a 4-4-2, but they really play more of a 4-3-3. You know, Ria Coker should be back for them again this week. You know, they've had great success when Kenny Miller's in their lineup. Camilo's obviously a dangerous attacking player. They got some good speed with Hurtado off the bench, and with Kikuta off the bench. You know, obviously they don't have Maddox for this weekend. You know, and they're a team that's, you know, I think they put a lot of their mental effort into the Voyageurs Cup and trying to win that series in Canada, and I'm sure they were disappointed when that didn't happen, like, you know, we were when we got knocked out of the Open Cup, and so now their attention and their focus is on MLS. So they're going to be a team that's going to be very motivated this weekend.
Anything else?
Thanks.
Me preguntaron si podría hacer un anuncio y pensé que era porque yo juego para los Seattle Sounders. No puedo, porque mi inglés no es muy bueno. That's true. Entonces me dijeron que el anuncio era de padres, niños y familias. Eso es muy importante para mí y le dije que yo hago lo que puedo hacer. No importa cuál idioma tú hablas, hay un idioma universal que nuestros niños comprenden y necesitan. Y es el amor y el cariño de los padres. Be a good parent and stay involved in your child's life.